Thank you so much for coming back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the 13th year. And I am once again happy to have my boy BLACKTASTIC Media here in this video to talk about the 13th year. It was your time, my friend. It was your time to be a victim of me making somebody watch a Disney Channel original movie. And anybody who's been collabing here on this channel, if I have not given you a Disney Channel original movie from my childhood to review here on this channel with me, don't worry, it's coming. But in all seriousness, a big thanks to BLACKTASTIC Media for being here in this video to talk about this cheesy Disney Channel original movie from my childhood. A movie that I remember watching so many times. A movie that in premise is really strange, but after rewatching it, I couldn't help but think that with a bigger budget and a really good team behind it, that they could do something interesting with the premise. But this is a Disney Channel original movie, so it's going to be cheesy. The dialogue, the acting is not going to be great. And this is just one of those things I needed to revisit and review here on this channel just to kind of have fun with my childhood memories. So what is this movie all about? It's the story of a young boy who, at the age of 13, starts to develop different abilities, including things like Spider-Man powers where he can climb on the walls and the ability to zap things with electricity. But those things don't really have anything to do with what's really happening to him, and what's happening to him is he's becoming a merman. At the beginning of this movie, we are introduced to this mermaid that's swimming in the ocean with her young child, and the special effects here, it's just like a woman in, like, you know, one of those tight, like, fake mermaid things, and you can see her legs inside of the costume. There's definitely some dated effects in here, but yeah, that I guess you kind of have to expect that when it comes to a Disney Channel original movie. And yeah, so we see her swimming around as she comes across a fisherman's boat, and he ends up seeing her, and he becomes like enamored. He becomes completely obsessed with her and wants to follow her. While she's being followed by this fisherman, she ends up deciding to leave the baby on this little like sack that's hanging off of these people's boat. She leaves him there. She goes to kind of distract the fisherman and kind of like pull him to a different area. Once she does that, she goes back for the baby, but he's no longer there. A couple who owned the boat actually found the baby and are now taking him onto land, and they're gonna raise him as their own. The premise alone right there is completely cheesy, and we jump 13 years into the future where now we see our main character, Cody, the young boy who's gonna eventually start becoming a merman in this film. And yeah, what I have to say right out of the gate is you cannot expect quality just writing and performances when it comes to a movie like this. There's so much about this movie that is incredibly cheesy and it's not well written. Some of the dialogue is laughable, and plenty of the things like the music or just the sound effects they put behind certain characters and scenes, yeah, definitely don't hold up. It's just kind of funny to go back and watch a movie like this and be able to just see something from my childhood that as a kid, I used to get so excited when Disney Channel would be like, hey, we're re-airing, you know, the 13th year. And it was one of those movies in this certain era of Disney Channel where every year you kind of had like these recycled movies from the previous year, and the year after, you know, the same thing, you know, like some movies from the last year and the few years, depending on the popularity, would kind of stay in circulation. And this was one of those movies. And I can specifically remember this one memory where I was staying in like a timeshare hotel kind of thing with my dad and my sister, and some of my dad's friends were also there, and a bunch of adults, and we were watching this movie, and everybody was just kind of into it, but kind of having a laugh at how cheesy it was. And yeah, like I just remember having all these memories of watching this movie, but it's definitely been probably a good 10 years or more since I had seen this movie or even really thought of this movie. It was a movie that every here and there I'd think back on, but I wanted to go ahead and give this movie to BLACKTASTIC to talk about because it is incredibly weird and bizarre. Now, at the center of this movie is really a story about, essentially it's a metaphor for puberty. Yeah, it's essentially about this boy whose body's going through some changes, except in this case he's turning into a merman, and throughout the course of the film, you know, he reconnects with his mother from the beginning of the film, and at the end of the film he ends up leaving with her. So that's essentially the basic gist. Is, you know, he starts to have all these changes, and then he decides to end up leaving with his actual mom at the end of the movie to become a merman. And throughout it, you know, his parents are, you know, figuring this whole situation out. They kind of have to see how they're going to handle this with him. And, you know, at first they don't really believe him. And then obviously once they start seeing his abilities and stuff, they're very worried for him. I forgot to mention one of the biggest parts of the movie is the fact that he's part of the swim team. And here's something that I found was really hilarious. And BLACKTASTIC talks about it a little bit too, is in this movie, the swim team is like the football team. Forget any other sports team in this school. It's all about the swim team. You are the coolest guys. You are the bee's knees if you are on the swim team. And I found that to be kind of funny. So right at the beginning of the film, we're introduced to the fact that he is trying to get to one of his races at his school. He's going to be late. He's trying to catch a ferry in order for him to get to where he needs to, the other side of the land, so he can actually go to his school and go and be a part of this race. And once he gets to where the ferry is, it actually had just taken off, and the guy who was, you know, steering the boat actually just tells him, hey, just wait till the next one. But he doesn't have time for that. So with shoes and full clothing and all, he hops in the water and swims over to the other side of the land where the ferry was going to take them. And he actually gets there a good amount of space and time before the boat, which is supposed to be like obviously implying that he's a really good swimmer and you think that he'd be amazing. Then the next sequence, we get to him being at that race. He makes it on time and he races somebody and he loses just by a little bit, but he loses to somebody who's better than him on his team, this character named Sean. And it's just kind of so hilarious and cheesy to see that he just outran a boat that was already ahead of him, and yet he's losing to a human. That, I don't know, that's just kind of weird to me. I just felt like that was such an inconsistent thing to happen right at the beginning of this film, but that's kind of what this movie is filled with. Inconsistencies, not great performances, and not great writing, but it's a movie that, for me, I just kind of find charming and kind of like what BLACKTASTIC says a little bit later, just kind of cute. Now, I keep mentioning BLACKTASTIC. Let me tell you guys right now, I had a huge smile and laugh the entire time I was watching his review, because this is kind of the reaction I was hoping to get out of him. And I'm so glad, man, that you were just into this and wanted to just kind of enjoy it for what it was, while also realizing that this movie is ridiculous and being like, what the hell am I watching? So without further ado, let's go ahead and hear what my buddy BLACKTASTIC Media had to say about this.
Anthony, you wrong for this shit. Yo, what's up, my YouTube fam? Here I am again, kicking it on my homeboy's channel, Anthony A. Perez. You got me with this one. My man asked me to do another collab. He sent me the poster of this movie called The 13th Year. It's a Disney movie on Disney Plus. May the 15th, 1999, this movie drops. The 13th Year. I had no idea what this movie's about. But once the movie got to rolling, I meet the main characters, I started understanding what this movie is. This movie is about a young boy discovering he's a merman. Yes, a merman, Aquaman, before there was Aquaman. And in real life, it's about a young boy who's discovering who he really is, or in our lifetime, going through puberty. 13 is an odd year for young boys because you're no longer 12, you're not quite 14 or 15, you're just becoming a teen. And your body is going through all kind of changes. I remember being a freshman in high school, and my body was changing. I was going through puberty. You had acne. It was winter time. It's cold as hell, but I'm sweating like it's 120 degrees under my armpits. I could never stay dry. I was always moist, and yeah, it was some awkward times going through puberty. And then the whole girl thing, girls liking you, you think you like girls, you know, it's weird. That's what this movie's about, but dude happens to be a merman. The movie opens up, this fine ass mermaid is swimming in the water. And these gotta be the worst special effects I've ever seen in my life. It's obvious these people are not underwater. She's carrying this baby, and it looked like, baby, there's people in the background on the Disney set blowing bubbles from a bubble machine. They put a blue background up. These people are not underwater. She comes up on the surface and she stuffs this mer baby inside of a cooler, a drink cooler bag. And she looks off and she's like, okay. And I'm like, is she abandoning her baby? This is weird. And then this hillbilly fisherman sees the mermaid and he's obsessed with mermaids. And this hillbilly fisherman, the way he fishes makes me uncomfortable. It's like the way he looks at fish and chases him, it's like this man is watching a porno and is jacking off. He's like, ugh, ugh. I'm looking around, I'm like, is anybody seeing what I'm seeing? Now, I gotta give up some information here. I had a couple of drinks before I seen this movie, and as innocent as most Disney movies are, when you have a drink or two, boy, you see things that you're not supposed to see. This man looked like he was straight jacking. And then you're like, no way, this baby cannot go to this hillbilly. It would have the worst life ever. But this couple ends up with the baby. This nice husband and wife, they hear a little baby crying and they both do the double take and find the baby and take the baby in. No questions asked. They find this baby and they take it in. The mermaid is in the water. She waves and she's crying. I'm like, well, why are you crying? You just dropped this little motherfucker off and got rid of it, you know? So they raise this child, not knowing where it came from or what it is. It's like a Superman or Superman / Aquaman origin story. It's weird. Well, you flash forward to school. Cody's a young man now. Yeah, his name is Cody. He's on the swim team, and which is obvious. He's not the best swimmer on the team. His friend is Sean, is the best swimmer on the team. And Cody is a striking, handsome young fellow, right? All the ladies want this dude. He's like the most popular guy in school, and he's on the swim team. He's not even the best swimmer. Something about being on the swim team in this movie is like larger than life. It's bigger than being a football player, basketball player. If you are on the swim team, you were the man. And the ladies were throwing themselves at him. I mean, just left and right. This dude was getting action. Cody was a typical young man. He could be really sweet and nice. He's very helpful with his dad. He's like the perfect son to have. His dad had this boat they would take people out on, and this boat was a piece of crap. Constantly fixing it. Cody, help me. His son would help him. He'd run upstairs and make sure the engine is working properly. And you know, the old ladies and old men are getting pissed off, and they're really mad at Cody's father, but they take it out on him. He's a really, really good son. But at school, he's a little different. You know, he's a little arrogant, and maybe that comes with being on a swim team and having asshole friends. But this particular nerd that he kind of befriended unwillingly keeps popping up. And this is one of those nerds. You gotta remember, this movie took place in the late 90s. This dude, one of those typical nerds where he falls, not particularly really smart, but just stupid. This dude is walking with a tuba, trips and falls, and lands in a damn pool. It's like, you didn't see that coming, you know? It's one of those typical stupid comedies back in those days. But the dude was befriended. His name was Jess. And Cody kind of took him under his wing. They bonded. And you didn't really know why they bonded. They just did. Cody was really a nice guy underneath some of that tough exterior, trying to be a swimmer and stuff. And the movie plot thickens because the guy's father was obsessed with mermaids. So it was like, oh, I get it. This is like the dude who helps Batman understand his powers and stuff. Well, this little dude, this little nerd knew a lot about mermaids. And so when Cody starts changing at the age of 13, Jess is there along to help him understand what his body's going through, these molecular changes. And this is when the movie gets weird. Again, maybe because I was drinking. Jess seems like a young boy who wants to come out the closet. And he's in love with Cody, but that's just what I seen. There's scenes where they commence their relationship. He says, look, you're my friend. You helped me out with these situations. And Jess grabs him and hugs him and they fall to the ground like lovers on a beach. It was an awkward scene. Maybe it was meant to be funny, but I was like, this dude is obviously gay, but Disney can't say that shit out loud. But it was very interesting. But Cody starts changing. His body's starting to take on the merman myth. And this dude's hands got these little sticky things on it. It looked like Spider-Man. This dude was climbing walls. Everything he touches is stuck to his hands. I'm like, this is Spider-Man powers. And then he has the power to produce electricity. There's a scene doing a meet in a pool, and he grabs the side of the thing and all these kids are in the water and he electrifies electricity out of his hands. And it's like, everybody in that pool should be dead right about now. It was weird. And he busted the scoreboard with his electrical powers and stuff. This movie is getting strange. And it's actually body horror. When this young boy is changing, it is horrific. The special effects back then were bad, but man, they look like Wolverine was in pain every time claws came out. This dude started growing fins out of his feet. It was weird. And I thought about it. Well, maybe he's half octopus, half electric eel. I guess when you're a merman, you inhabited all the sea creatures' powers. I don't know. The movie does not explain anything. You don't know what the hell is going on, but you just go on right along with it. Then you get to the end of the film, he's obviously different. His parents are realizing, what the fuck is wrong with my son? This dude is a merman. His mother, after 13 years, pops up out of nowhere out of the water. Hi, son. Oh, you're grown. And he's like, she wants me to get in the water. This motherfucker's not asking any questions. He just gets in the water, leaves the people who raised him for the last 13 years, straight said, I'm out. I'm getting in that water. He jumps up in slow motion with his shirt off and he has that half fish body on the other end. I'm like, okay, so he's a full-fledged merman. This movie is fucking weird, crazy, but entertaining. I appreciate the fact that it's a young man's journey essentially through puberty. It's a cute story. You know, Disney have cute stories, but when you have a little drink, sucking on that scissor, you see different things. And this movie was weird and creepy, but you know what? I had a good time with this film. I gotta say, yo, my man Anthony, you took me out of my comfort zone. I seen something different, and yeah, it was cool. But I guess the mythology of a mermaid, when they have kids, they release them into the world of the land dwellers. And so they learn the ways of man, I guess. And at the ripe age of 13, you're ready to come back home. And then magically the mermaid comes back and reclaims her property, which is her son. And then it all is supposed to make sense. I guess that's how it is. You know, it's similar to Aquaman. But this movie, I'm telling you, have a couple of drinks and you will see what I see. This movie has some crazy parts that make you go like this. Ooh, I don't know. But hey, Disney Plus, if you have it, it's an entertaining watch. The 13th Year. Perez, dude, please speak on it. I am dying to hear what you have to say about the 13th Year. Oh, motherfucking merman. I'm out. It's just my point of view.
A big thanks once again to my buddy BLACKTASTIC for being here in this video. As usual, you guys can find the channel link down below in the description box. Go give him some love. He's got so many things going on his channel, whether it's documentaries, his upcoming movie he's coming out soon, which I'm going to be reviewing very, very soon. You guys got to check out BLACKTASTIC Media. Dude, I had a great time listening to your review on this movie. I literally was dying of laughter because I think specifically if anybody's seen the movie, you know, and is watching Blacktastic's reaction, it is hysterical because his reaction is pretty much what I expected. You know, this movie was made for kids when I was a kid, you know, and to go back and watch it today, it is so bad in so many ways, but it's a cute film, you know. It's got heart, it's got charm. None of the characters are anybody you're really going to be rooting for or completely in love with. It's just a movie about a kid that over the course of the film is becoming a merman. He's dealing with certain challenges. At the end, it's almost painful for him to be on land. He needs to be connected to the water. Yeah, you know, on an overall, I did have a good time going back and watching this movie. Do I recommend it? That's gonna be up to you. I think that if you're looking for something cheesy, maybe you have some kids and you'd like to just kind of throw something on, see how they react, and kind of just watch something weird, check it out. The music choices, as far as the background music of this movie, is strange. The performances are not great. The only actor that I actually recognize from this movie is David Coulier, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. He's obviously well known for his time on Full House. As usual, I really appreciate all of you guys for watching. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed the video. Comment down below. Love hearing what you guys have to say and engaging with you guys. Also, if you guys have not already hit the subscribe button, what are you doing? Come on, stick around. There's so much content coming on this channel. Blacktastic Media. You can find the link to his channel down below in the description box. Loved hearing what you have to say, my friend, and I can't wait for our next collab. Thanks for being down for this silly, goofy movie that is not great, but is also just this fun, cheesy, made-for-TV Disney movie that I recommend to an extent. And I'm really happy to continue reviewing these old classic childhood Disney movies of mine that yeah, are just don't hold up, but they're funny to go back and revisit. So yeah, guys, leave those comments down below. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.